Okay, and for those that are just joining in, if you don't have the values and alignment workbook, if you haven't downloaded that, I have put that in the chat box down below. So you can click to open that, and you're gonna wanna have that open on a separate screen so you can go back and forth, or if you know how to merge screens, that'll be helpful as well. We're going to be going through that values alignment workbook. And if you have a pen or a journal, you're going to need that to document your answers. And if you have printed it out, even better, but you don't necessarily need to have it printed out in order to fill the exercise. You're just going to need to be able to document it in your journal. Okay. Sorry, Helen Rose says she doesn't see the link. Okay, so maybe those who joined late and see it, I'll put it in there again. Should be a file there that you can just click and you'll be able to download it. Okay. All right, well, thanks everybody. I really appreciate you all joining on Valentine's Day, on your Sunday. Super happy to have you all here with me. This is going to be the first of 3 webinars that I'm hosting. And next week's webinar is going to be on limiting beliefs and shifting your mindset. And you'll be receiving a follow-up email from me in the next day that will have the link to the next 2 webinars. So if you want to join and register for that, same process, you'll register and then you'll get a workbook sent to you that you could use for the webinar. And this webinar is going to be, the week after that webinar is going to be about living in flow, all about elevating vibration and living in flow state, being able to manifest in flow rather than force. Now, this webinar is going to be about 90 minutes long, and I'll be sharing info for about an hour. Then I'm going to open it up to some questions. So if during the webinar you have any questions, you can put them in the chat box below, and then I'll address them once we move to the Q&A section. And any comments, questions, you can just put in the chat box and then we'll address that later on. And I just want to start this off by saying, the intention of this webinar and the other webinars I'll be hosting is really to just provide some of the most valuable and transformative information and exercises that I've learned since turning 40. For those of you that have followed my journey, the last 6 years has been a complete life transformation, going from being King Street nightclub restaurant guy in Toronto to having that moment where I woke up and was like, oh, wait a minute. My life's not really going the way I thought it would. And, since having that realization, doing the deep work and, really diving in full force on the world of personal development and self-discovery and spirituality. And, over the last 5 to 6 years, I've made this pretty drastic change in my life, going from living in the heart of King Street West to living in the heart of the jungle here in Costa Rica. And, I love sharing my journey with people because sometimes I even have a hard time believing that this is actually my life now. Like, I've been going through some old videos and photos for some of my social media posts, and oh man, I look at some of them, I'm like, who is that guy? Like, what was I doing? And, no regrets and no judgment to who I once was. It's just crazy how much your life can change in a matter of 5 years, and that's why I love sharing this information and teaching people all that I've learned, because if somebody had told me at 40 on that day when I woke up, I'm like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing with my life? That I'd be living in Costa Rica, I'd be teaching people how to change their life, and I'd be living this life, I would have thought, yeah, there's no way, So the fact that I was able to make it happen, and I knew none of this, like what I'm going to share and, what I teach my clients and what I share during my programs, all that I share, I have really learned in the last 6 years. And, I emphasize this because regardless of where you're at right now, what you're going through, I know many people right now, things are changing in life. 2020 was a crazy year, and the changes are going to continue to happen in 2021. Many of us changing jobs, changing relationships, want to change your health, want to change your mindset, change some of your habits. There's a lot of change happening right now. And often we want to change, and we know it's possible because we see other people have made that change, but we just don't know how to make that change for ourselves. And I remember thinking at 40, okay, I got to make a change. Things have to switch, and I don't know what the hell that looks like. I don't know what needs to be done. I just know I need to change my life. And I made a promise to myself on that day, on my 40th birthday, that I wasn't going to wake up feeling the way I felt in that moment. At 40, I was feeling stuck in a job that I didn't love anymore. I was just tired of being in nightlife. It felt like Groundhog Day for me. I was still single, and all my friends married with kids, growing their families. And I had the history of repeating a similar relationship with similar partners. And I was hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And for me, it's just like, this doesn't work. So I made a promise to myself that day that, what, things got to change, and whatever it is, I'm going to figure it out. So, I did the deep work. I did a lot of the landmark programs, worked with different coaches, started going to summits, really dove deep into the world of personal development. And, it really opened me up to a whole world that I wasn't even aware of. And that's why I share this information, because I think to myself, what would I want to tell that guy, Zark? August 17, 2015, what would I want to tell him that would have helped him so much along this path? And the reason why I want to start the first of these 3 webinars really focusing on values and living in alignment, because I had no clue what the hell values were. Like, who teaches us what values are? Like, we don't learn about values in school. Chances are we learn about values either through our parents, through our teachers, the education system, our friends, our peers. And these days, mostly a lot of young people are learning about their values through social media. They're learning from all these different external sources. And when I look back on what my values were, I was really unclear of what my values were for so many years. And it wasn't until really I started doing this work that I could look back and now see that when it was time for me to make a change in my life, I didn't know what it was I wanted to do next, but what I did know was I want to work when I want, where I want, with who I want. I want to be able to spend time with my family and loved ones when I can. I want to continue to learn and expand my knowledge. I want to take care of my health. I want to live every day pushing my boundaries. I didn't know that those were actually my core values at the time. I just knew that that's who I am as a person. And for some of you now, on this webinar, you may not know what your values are. And that's okay, because we're going to explore that during this session. That's why I created this workbook, so we can go through it together and have you discover what your true core values are. Because when you understand what your core values are, that's when you can really understand what are your boundaries, what are the parameters for your life, what are you okay with, what are you not okay with. I like to say that our values are like the North Star, and east, west, north, and south. Our values help us navigate through life and help us stay on course. And stay on course is also called living in alignment. Now, living in alignment means that you're making choices every day that honor your values, so that you're going in the direction of your goals, to your dreams, to that life you truly want to live. If we don't know what our values are, then we're just out there living life unintentionally. Like, when I think back on, why did I wake up at 40, not loving my job, single, and hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt? I was living my life unintentionally. I didn't know what my values were. I was just traveling, partying, dating women, spending, shopping, whatever. Like, I wasn't living intentionally. Now, when I think back on, well, what were my values actually? Well, if I wanted to work when I wanted, with who I wanted, and where I wanted, I really honor the value of freedom. Freedom is one of my core values. If I want to share knowledge and the lessons I've learned to help other people, and I want to continue to learn and grow myself, education is one of my core values. And wanting to change my lifestyle, spend more time with my family, my loved ones, family is a core value. Being able to teach people and helping whoever I can learn from my journey, so that they can expedite their own personal Growth and development, well, that values contribution. And being able to live an exciting, dynamic life that's not routine and not predictable and doesn't feel like Groundhog Day, well, that values adventure. And I share those with you because it was only when I thought about who do I want to be? What do I want my life to look like? That I was able to see, like, okay, I don't got to be that nightclub guy anymore. I don't got to be running bars and restaurants and stuck in Groundhog Day. And I share this with you because whatever's going on in your life right now, whether it be your health, your relationship, your passion, your joy, your, family, maybe for some of you who are single, who are also feeling the way I did at 40, saying, okay, I keep repeating the same relationships over and over and over again. I promise you, any area of your life that is out of integrity right now, where you're feeling resistance, where you're feeling stuck, where things are not working, you are out of alignment with one of your core values. Because when we are living our core values, we are putting time and energy into the things that truly matter most for us. So when I decided to change my life and pursue a new career, without knowing it, I could look back in retrospect now and see, oh, that's how I did it. I can now look back and see the changes I made in my life was I want to fully honor and embody my values that are important to me so that I could live a life that's in alignment with who I want to be and what I want to have for my life. And that's really what had me stuck at 40. I was living a life completely out of alignment with the life that I really want to live. So that's why today we're going to talk about values and alignment. And we're going to go through this workbook and we're going to explore the different values. So you could pick your top 5. And then we're going to take a look at how are you honoring those values in your life right now. So I'm excited to share this all with you because this workbook I just created this past week, and it's taken a few different tools and exercises that I've learned and brought them all together. So I'm super stoked to share this all with you today. And before I move on, does anyone have any questions or comments before we dive into the workbook? And if you're muted, which you all are, you can unmute yourself and ask any questions or comments if you have right now. Okay, and for any of those who joined late, thank you, Athene. I'm excited for this also. For those of you who have joined late, if you don't have the Alive Life Values and Alignment workbook, if you don't have the workbook open or downloaded, let me know and I will put it in the chat box below. And if nobody has any comments, then I am going to do a share screen and we're going to jump into the workbook. Let me just check this right here. Okay. All right. Okay, just checking. Everybody can see the values and alignment workbook. Thumbs up. Yeah, you all can see it. Perfect. Okay. All right, awesome. Cool. All right, so there's a quote I like that I think describes values really well. Your core values are the deeply held beliefs that authentically describe your soul. So think about that. Your core values are the deeply held beliefs that authentically describe your soul. And it's a quote by John C. Maxwell. And as I mentioned earlier, when I had my oh shit moment and turned 40, I had to ask myself, now what do I do? And I asked myself, what can I do that would have me wake up every day loving my life? And as I shared with you, there were these things that I wanted for my life that I knew I wanted, but I didn't necessarily know how to manifest them, how to make that happen. And it was in connecting with my values. Even though I didn't know I was connecting with my values at the time, I can now look back and see that was really the beginning for me. That is what helped give me the clarity to say, like, okay, I know the life that I want to live, and what in my life needs to change in order for me to evolve into that version that I want to become and have the life that I want to live. So, what does values mean to you? This is a very, straightforward dictionary description, and it explains it well. Values are basic and fundamental beliefs that guide or motivate attitudes or actions. They help us to determine what is important to us. Values describe the personal qualities we choose to embody to guide our actions, the sort of person we want to be, and the manner in which we treat ourselves and others, and our interaction with the world around us. They provide the general guidelines for conduct. And this is why, understanding values is so important as you begin this journey of wanting to transform your life, because your values, once you're present to them, they're going to change the way you live your life. They're going to change the things you do during your day. They're going to help you to break habits, and they're going to help you to start new healthy habits. So we're going to dive into this. So I'm going to ask you to take a look at the values in the workbook and pick the 5 that resonate with you most. So this exercise will help you learn about your key core values so that you can select the 5 that resonate with you. I'm going to ask you to read the description of each value. If you need to, rewrite to suit your own definitions if needed. Feel free to add in any values that are important to you if they're not listed. And in the table on the next page, write down your 5 core values and a brief explanation of why they're important to you. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to take a read through. Here are all the key core values. You have them in your workbook. So take a few minutes. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to read through them. And then I'm going to ask you to write down each of your 5 core values and just a simple sentence or two of why is that core value important to you. Does anybody have any questions about this first exercise? So we're coming up on about 4.5 minutes now. So if any of you need more time, you just put your hand up just so I know if you need a couple more minutes. Okay, no problem. So up to 6 minutes now. I'm going to give it 1 more minute and then we'll continue on with the exercise. And for any of those that you just joined in, if you don't have the workbook, I'm putting it down in the chat box below. Okay, great. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate you taking the time and effort to think about those values. So I'm going to open this up. I'd love to hear from a few of you. Share what some of your 5 core values are and brief sentence on why those 5 core values are important to you. So who in the group is courageous enough to jump on and just share some of your 5 core values? We'd love to hear from some of you.
I'll start.
Thank you, Athene.
Okay. So number 1, I put fun and pleasure. And are we rating it as how it's showing up in our life right now?
No, at the moment, you're just going to explain why it's important to you. We're going to move on to the rating next. Yeah.
Okay. It's important to me because I don't know. It's such a motivator for me. I look at all things in life, even the work that I do in real estate. Like the reason I do it is because I enjoy it. Is it fun? Like a lot of times I collaborate with other agents and yeah, I'm splitting commissions, but if I like the person, I'm like, oh my God, it's fun. I get to hang out with them. It's like so I don't know. Fun is just, I don't know. It's my inner child, I think.
Nice.
Fun is very important. 2, okay. Should I go through all of them? Okay. Number 2, I put growth and development. For me, it's just like I'm such a student of life. And I even like the fact like here I am, on Valentine's Day on this, class that you're so generously offering. It's really important for me to feel that I don't think we ever get to a pinnacle of our evolution. As long as we're in this human form, there's always another level, So, and then 3, I put partnership, which I was sort of torn between. I'm not in a partnership right now, but it's a strong desire for me. But then I was looking at love as a core value, and I thought, well, I think I'm just going to stick with partnership, even though it's not there for me. 4, I put family, even though I didn't see that as a value, and I sort of wonder about that as well. Because I haven't seen, especially with the pandemic, I haven't seen my family as much as I'd like to. And then another one I put down is freedom. And for me, that's just,
Beautiful.
yeah. So
Great. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate that. Thank you for being courageous and being
of
the
course.
first to speak. Uh, I'd like to have one more person share. What are your 5 top core values and why are they important to you? Anybody else care to share?
I'll share.
Okay. Thank you, Rita.
No problem. And by the way, like I was like, oh, I think I have way more than 5. So is that okay as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
it's okay to have more than 5. And why I want you to kind of narrow it down to 5, because as you start to narrow them down, you get to really understand what are really the ones that are most important to me. And also, for the sake of the exercise, working with 5 right now is manageable. And of course, the workbook is yours. So feel free to, explore what are your 10 top core values, at a later point in time. The framework in the workbook will allow you to be able to go in and explore more of your values. So let's hear what your top 5 are.
Okay. So I guess I've ranked them, I guess. I'm not sure, but adventure for sure. So
Mhm.
just to kind of like the previous person said, sorry, I forgot her name. I think it's just to feed my inner child. So
Mhm.
just to keep things exciting and the blood flowing. Health for sure, because physical and mental well-being is super important in order for me to engage in this adventurous lifestyle that I want. Love, self-love, love for others, like love for nature and all things, just because for me it's a respect for life that we've been given, right? We need to love this life that we have. Contribution. So I think from my previous career and my new career trajectory that I'm on, it's all about contributing and helping people with all of the knowledge and experience that I have. So just putting myself out there and being able to contribute. And abundance. So sort of opposite of scarcity, right? That there's
Mhm.
plenty for everyone. So these are my top 5.
Amazing. Thank you. Those are beautiful. Those resonate with me as well. So I appreciate you for sharing that. So, how many of you learned something about your values? How many of you saw that list and thought, oh yeah, that or that too, or I didn't think about that? Like, how many of you actually got to better understand your values by going through that list? I hope the description for each was helpful. Okay, good to hear. Perfect. Thank you. So the next step here is to think about how are you honoring these values in your life? Like if family is one of your core values, how often are you making time to speak with them? And if health is one of your core values, then how often are you exercising? What kind of food are you putting into your body? So the next step from here is going to be to rate how you're honoring these values in your life. And as you're thinking about rating each of these values, I also want you to get connected to the feeling and the emotions that you feel about honoring these values. For example, if adventure is one of your values and you're always pushing your limits, then you're probably feeling a lot of joy and a lot of appreciation for these wonderful adventures you have. However, if learning is one of your core values and you haven't read a book in a year, then you might be feeling some guilt or disappointment around this. Now, understanding your emotional state around honoring your values is key. And on the next page, I'm going to ask you to write down your values, and you can put them in order of 1 to 5 if you'd like, and their individual rating as to how you're honoring them in your life, and then pick emotional state that best describes how you're feeling about your values. Just going to go back to the workbook here. So here in the workbook, we have your values from 1 to 5, the rating that you're going to give them from 1 to 10, 1 being they're not very present in your life at all, to 10, you're fully embodying that value. So rating them from 1 to 10, from low to high, and then pick an emotional state that best describes your rating. And again, if an emotional state is not here on the list, feel free to add your own. And I'm going to give you 3 minutes to do this one. Does anybody have any questions about this before we jump in? Okay, cool. And we have about 30 seconds to go. Does anybody need more time? Okay, great. All right, thank you all for completing that one. Let's see here. All right, so why it's important to acknowledge what your emotional state is around these different values and how you're honoring them in your life is because our emotional states have an energetic frequency. And why it's important to understand these emotional states and the direct impact on our energetic frequency is because the higher the emotion we feel, the higher our frequency. And our thoughts and emotions all have their own vibrational frequency. And if you're familiar with the law of attraction, then you understand that like attracts like. Now, if you're feeling guilt, shame, disappointment, and anger around how you aren't honoring your values in life, then most likely you are in a low vibrational state. And it's very hard to feel inspired, creative, and in flow, and being able to manifest and create the things that you want in your life when you are in a low vibrational state. When people are feeling stuck, they're feeling in a funk, life just feels like there's a lot of resistance, or maybe you're procrastinating and doing things, there's that feeling of dissonance. That all has to do with being in a low vibrational state. And the goals that you want in life, the things that you want to achieve, are high vibrational things: better health, amazing relationships, financial abundance. And you have to be a vibrational match to call in the things that you want in your life. And that's why it's so key to honor your values, so you're living in alignment with your goals, so that you feel joy, gratitude, you're proud, feeling passionate and inspired. It's about getting to those high vibrational states so you can call in those high vibrational goals that you want in your life. And this is why understanding your core values and how you honor them reflects how you show up in life. And a big part of my coaching and really one of the fundamentals of what I teach people is about raising your frequency, raising your vibrational state, so you are in flow, so that your energetic auric field is at a high frequency, so you're just a magnet drawing in all those high vibrational things that you want in your life. Now, understanding energy and the law of attraction is really the essence of what I'm speaking about. And I've put out several vlogs on how to raise your vibrational state. I put out one last week, and I have another one coming out this Wednesday. And raising your vibrational state can also help you to boost your immune system, help you to be resistant to disease, illness, and viruses. And I go into greater detail in the vlogs. And this is a big part of what I teach in my coaching. And during my next group coaching course, which is called the Ascension Group Coaching Program, starting March 21st, I talk about really shifting from low vibrational emotions and being at the 3D level of consciousness to elevating your emotions, so you're rooted in a high vibrational state and living in flow at that 5D level of consciousness. And again, on my YouTube channel, on my Instagram, I have videos about what does 3D consciousness mean, what is 4D consciousness and 5D consciousness, and understanding your core values, realizing where you're out of alignment and going to work on those areas of your life that you're feeling guilt, shame, resentment, anger, animosity. Going to work on those areas of your life is called doing the shadow work. It's called looking at those parts of your life where maybe you neglect, that you suppress, that you don't want to deal with, and shining a light on them and saying, you know what, I'm not honoring my values of family, and I need to have that hard conversation with my mom. Or maybe I'm neglecting my health, I'm not training as much as I'd like to. Or maybe I want to quit smoking, or maybe I'm drinking too much, and you feel some guilt around that. Well, I'm going to shine the light on that and say, you know what, I'm going to work on that. Because when you go to work on the shadow parts of yourself, you shift from those low vibrational emotional states to those high vibrational emotional states. And when you are in joy, abundance, gratitude, love, you are now emanating that vibrational frequency in your auric field, and you are now able to call those things into your life. And it all starts with your values. So once you understand how this works, you are in total control of your life, and your life will completely change. Now, as you think about how you are or aren't honoring your values, I want you to write down, what are your obstacles that are stopping you from honoring them? Now, when I say obstacles, I mean things that are getting in the way of us making more of an effort or being more effective in honoring them. Now, for some of you, maybe you're crushing all your values and you're doing really great, being super effective with them. Awesome. This would be a good opportunity for you to maybe think about some of those other values in your life that maybe you're not honoring as well as the others. So here's an opportunity to take a look at some of the other parts of your life, some of the values that you're not honoring them, and think to yourself, what's in your way? What are the obstacles in your life that are stopping you from honoring those values? Does anybody have any questions about this before we move on to this next exercise with the obstacles? If anybody has any questions, you could just unmute yourself. And if not, then I'm going to give you another 3 minutes, okay? Sorry. Somebody have their hand up? No? Just scratching your head? Okay. I'll give you guys 3 minutes. And we got about 30 seconds left. Does anybody else need more time? Okay, great. Thank you. All right, so I'd love to hear from a couple of you about some of your obstacles. Who would like to be open and vulnerable and share what's getting in your way of you honoring your values? And I could also just start picking people. That's always fun.
I can share.
Amazing. Thank you, Amira.
So the biggest one that kept coming up is fear and myself as the biggest obstacles. It was just very apparent.
Okay. Yep. That's good that you see that. You want to say more about that? What are you afraid of?
What could happen? Or I think I've got a fear of always wanting to be in control and knowing that if I do this, this is going to happen. And it's letting myself be okay with, I don't know what's going to happen, and whatever happens is for the best.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah. And if there's anything 2020 has showed us, we are definitely not in control. And of course, fear of the unknown and the potential worst case scenario is where our mind usually goes to, and that's why you should be on next week's webinar, because we'll be talking about that self-limiting beliefs and shifting mindset. You know, because what you've shared is, I'm sure, how many other people, their obstacle is fear of the unknown and themselves. Anyone else? Yeah. So thank you, Amira, for vulnerably sharing. Anyone else would like to share what their obstacles are?
Hi, everyone. I'll share.
Okay,
I'm a little late to the party, but one of the lowest rated values for myself is independence. And I think the biggest obstacle is the need for safety and security, in particular financial security. So I think this is something I would love to work on.
Okay, great. Thank you for sharing that. And yeah, absolutely. Again, part of what we'll be sharing next week is these limiting beliefs and where they come from, and diving into really shifting our perspective around that. Jazz raised her hand also.
Yes, it was a mistake, but I don't mind sharing.
Okay.
So yeah, I think for myself, it's fear of failure. So failing what I'm doing, and just, I think it's more so comes from I think it's deeper than what it is, but just not achieving what it is I go out to do. Which it stops me from actually doing it, and I might actually pass and do what I'm out to do. So yeah, I think it comes down to yourself, doesn't it? Self-confidence,
Absolutely.
self-belief, self-love, and self-trust.
Absolutely. Yeah. And thank you, Jazz, for sharing that. And as each person shares, we're going to hear the common theme that it's us. We are always in our own way. Whether we believe we can or we can't, we're right. So it's, if our mindset and our beliefs have us feeling that we can't achieve something, that it's not possible, then that's the reality that we're going to create, because our thoughts create our reality. Athene, would you like to share your obstacles?
Yes. The one that I rated the lowest was in partnership. And I'm sort of torn, because I think that if that was actually in my life, it would rate very highly. So I'm sort of, I don't know how to, I said my own limiting beliefs, and also the fact that I haven't met my partner, haven't met him yet. So I'm curious to hear your feedback on that. Like, that's such a deep desire of mine, and it's such a value in my life, and yet it's still like that's the one area of my life that I rate very low.
Sure. Yeah. And, wanting a partner in your life, that's something I could totally relate to, because that's also what I felt when I was, 40 and, not in a relationship. I was wondering, okay, what am I doing wrong? Or what do I need to do different? And what I got that, again, it really came to me living in alignment with who my future partner would want to be with. Like this dream partner I have and all the qualities that she has to offer, her characteristics and what makes her so special. Am I living my life in alignment with the man that's right for her? Am I doing the work to show up as a partner that she wanted to be with? And I can look back, I could see that the woman I wanted to be with didn't want to be with a guy who was in nightclubs 4 nights a week. She didn't want to be with a guy who's off to Miami for a music conference and Ibiza for a festival. So I had to take a look at, where am I not showing up for my future partner? And what work do I need to do to evolve to be the man that my future partner wants to be with? Because when I could become the man that she wants to be with, she will appear. And it's not about changing to be with someone. It's about evolving to be the highest version of yourself, so that you then become that magnet and you're drawing in not just your financial partner, not just your romantic partner, but then you're drawing in, hopefully your financial partner as well. You're, the financial abundance,
right,
and all the other amazing things. Like, you hear when people start to get into flow, when momentum starts to happen, things just start coming in. Like, you get into that role and things just start to happen in life. And it's all about, again, shifting to that high vibrational state and doing the work. So I hope that's helpful for you. That's just a little example of, the conversation I had to ask myself. And actually, it was one of my coaches that taught me this exercise of how to shift to become the partner, to evolve to be that version of the partner that my ideal partner wants to be with. So anyways, hope that was helpful.
Yeah, it's totally helpful. I feel like I'm constantly doing the work, and I sort of sometimes wonder, like, oh my God, when is enough? I mean, I've invested so much time, money, energy, resources, and then I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, the work never stops, because personal growth, self-development, spirituality, in Landmark, they like to say it's a mountain with no top. As you keep climbing, the view just gets better, and you just keep peeling back the layers, and you just realize, oh wow, there's even more and more and more to work on. And Eckhart Tolle has a quote, I love it. It says, you spend half your life trying to become someone, and then you spend the other half of your life trying to become who you once were. And it's through all the layers and conditioning and programming and all the shit that we learn and we absorb that one day we get to a point like, I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be this version of me. So how do I get back to being that fun, playful, free, loving, not give a shit about anything version of me that I once was? And it's work. It takes time to get back to that person, but it's possible, because each and every one of you have that loving, carefree, adventurous, dynamic person in you. We all still have that child in us. It's just about getting back to who we once were. So anyways, thank you all for sharing about that. We're going to move on now. And sorry, Elizabeth, you didn't get to share your obstacles, but if you want to put them in the comments below, then we can take a look and see what obstacles are in your way. And then if I can answer any questions for you in the Q&A section, I'll do that. As I said, we're all in our own way. We are what's stopping us from showing up in life. It's not like there's this massive boulder that's in front of us and we could actually move this boulder and we can't. It's us. It's our limiting beliefs. It's the conditions we live within. It's our laziness, our procrastination, our habits, and really it's our beliefs that are stopping us. Now, honoring our values really is a key to us having everything we want in life. And I'm just going to switch something here. And honoring our values is what helps make life every single day so rich and rewarding. Now, hold on, let me see here. Okay, yeah. So I promise you that, you know, if you want to wake up every morning, if you wake up every morning and ask yourself, what can I do? And these are my 5 values, whatever your 5 values are for you. You ask yourself every morning, what can I do to honor my health, my learning, my adventure, my family, and my freedom? And you take inspired action every day, even if you only fulfill 3 of those 5 values. But you ask yourself in the morning, what can you do to honor your values? You're going to have an incredible day. You'll be in a high vibe because you're going to feel fulfilled. You're going to feel joy. You're going to do the things that resonate with your soul, and magic will begin to manifest in your life. I promise you that. So on the next sheet, I'm going to ask you to write down, what can you do to fully honor your values, and when are you going to do it? So knowing now that there are these things in your life that, you know, that you're in the way, certain beliefs are in the way, what actions can you take to fully honor your values, and when will you take action? And again, if you're, you know, if one of your honors, one of your values that you want to honor is learning, and you haven't read a book in a while, well, when are you going to buy, what book are you going to buy, or audiobook are you going to download, and when are you going to listen to it? And this is a very simple exercise, but this is something that you could start the week fresh. List 5 actions that you're going to take to honor your values, and crush them this week. And next Sunday, when you join me for the webinar, I'm going to do a check-in. I'm going to ask you, who of you, or how many of you actually took action to honor your values? I want to check in and see how you're feeling. So I'm going to give you a couple of minutes, write down your values, and what action are you going to take to fully honor your values, and when? I'm going to give you guys another 3 minutes. You have about 20 seconds left. All right. It's another opportunity to share. Who would like to share what action items they're going to take this week to honor their values and when you're going to get it done? For those of you who haven't spoken yet, now's a great opportunity. Put yourself out there.
Sure, I'll go.
Perfect. Thank you, Pat. Hi.
So for me, two of the things that I tend to procrastinate with are, first is health. I find that when I plan my week, everything tends to go a lot smoother, especially with like meal planning and stuff, right? And inner peace is the other part, right?
Mhm.
So trying to be more, I guess, responsive as opposed to reactive, right? And coming from a place from, you know, peace and balance, right? Instead of going from 0 to 100, just try to maintain, you know, your cool in certain situations, right? So, so for me, it's going to be meditation, affirmations, and then just trying to be more responsive.
Okay, beautiful. And when are you going to start?
Well, I've kind of already started, so it's been
Okay.
like an ongoing thing, something that I'm working
Okay.
on. It's getting
Okay.
better for sure.
Okay.
So,
So I'm going to challenge you
mhm.
to do your meditation mindfulness practice every day this week. I don't know how consistent you are,
Mhm.
but will you accept the challenge of doing your meditation and your mindfulness practice
Yes.
every day from now till next Sunday? Yeah? Okay. Okay, great.
Okay.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, no problem.
We'll go.
I'll share one.
I think we got Jonathan up, and then who said they were going to speak next? Sorry, I missed that.
I can go ahead.
Go ahead, Sabrina.
Okay.
We'll go after you.
No.
Thanks, Rena.
Go ahead.
No problem. Go ahead.
let it be the other way around. Men first.
No,
today.
ladies
Okay.
first. Ladies first.
Jonathan, I'm gonna say that you can go ahead and share, please. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to start with discipline. Don't be procrastinating. I'm trying to start a new beginning because I actually had COVID and it wasn't pretty nice. But I started thinking, you know, how it was, because right now I feel honestly that I'm in abundance right now. I kind of connecting and align with some people that is actually you know, created this abundance with me in my life and my family. But I had the whole COVID situation, so I was thinking about what was I doing in the hospital, you know, with money, whether I was in a private hospital or I was in a normal hospital, it'll still be the same because there's no cure to it, you know. So my whole mentality started changing, even though I have changed for like about 3 years, you know, with energy in general. So now I'm in the stage of recuperating, and sometimes I need to go for a walk because of my breathing situation, because of the COVID. So now I think that I'm able to take this really serious, because sometimes we don't think health serious. How our health is really serious, you know. So something has to happen in order for you to realize that, hey, you have to wake up. Sometimes you have the power, like yourself, that you were able to wake up and change. That happened to me, but in a different way. Now it has happened to me, but it happened to me in this whole COVID situation, you know.
Okay. So Jonathan, thank you for sharing that. So what actions are you going to take this week to honor your health? And by when are you going to set a date for yourself?
Well, I'm going to start actually Monday. And I'm going to wake up early, meditate, pray, and go for daily walks, caring about myself, you know, taking my health really more serious.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, man. Because as we know, without health, we have nothing, right? So thank you for sharing that, and, you know, wishing you great health and strength as you recover from COVID. And I know you're a fighter. Jonathan and I used to work together like 10 years ago. We used to promote nightclubs in Toronto. He was part of our promotion team. So I haven't seen him in probably well over a decade. So good to see you, brother. Thank you for joining, and yeah, wishing you great health.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you.
too.
Thank you. And Sabrina, I believe you're up next. Where'd Sabrina go?
Yeah, no, I'm here.
Oh, there you are.
So first of all, thank you so much for taking the time to do this, and for sharing your transformation journey. I met you a long time ago, and you were exactly the person that you described to be. And there was
we met in Miami.
Yeah.
Sabrina and I met in Miami a very, very long time ago when I was that guy out in the nightclubs. Yeah.
And I have to say that there was always more to you than that.
Oh, thank you.
It was easy to see. So congrats.
I appreciate that.
So for me, I'm not sure if this works, but I feel like in my case, I over abuse or over focus on certain values that are very core to me, like purposeful work, for example. I feel like it takes too much of my life, and I don't know if this is something that others can relate to, where there's an imbalance in your life, and yeah, the rest of the values kind of trickle away, or you just don't give them the time. So I think that for me, a big step is to actually take away a little bit from the purposeful work, or just limit the amount of importance or time that I give to it, so that I can reshift to giving to myself. And I think the first one would be nature. I'm a huge nature lover. It's part of who I am. It's always been a part of who I am. And I have Gracie, which I love my dog. And for me, spending time with her in nature is super important. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do, and that I promised myself as I was listening to everyone, is to just go for an extended walk with her and give her and myself that time together, and enjoy Mother Nature. So that'll be probably the best thing to come out of this.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I appreciate that. And I know how much you love your dog, because I see all your Instagram posts with your dog. So, you mentioned something very important, which is we can be so committed and so focused on helping others or doing for others, yet we don't do for ourselves. So even though we may be fully in integrity to contribution and helping others, we're out of integrity to our own self-care.
Yeah.
We're out of integrity to doing what's best for us. And as you've heard, you can't pour giving to other people, to other causes, but you're not leaving anything for yourself, then you're actually out of integrity to your own value, which is self-care, health, and and as you mentioned, nature. Now, it's very important to be able to understand where are you out of alignment in your life. And one of the exercises that I start my coaching practice with all my clients is we do it called the Wheel of Life, and we look at 12 different aspects of your life. And Matt, who's on the call from Turks and Caicos, he is one of my private coaching clients, where we worked together before. And looking at these 12 different aspects of your life, you get to see, okay, where am I out of alignment? And how do I want to have that balance in my life? So recognizing, Sabrina, that yes, you are contributing in many ways, but at the same time, you're taking away from your own life force energy. That's a very, very important realization. And to go a step further, and we'll talk about this next week, is why do you give more to others than you do for yourself? At what point in time did something happen where you started putting other people in front of your own well-being? Because all of the behaviors, the patterns, the limiting beliefs, and things that are running our life right now, something happened between the ages of 0 to 7 to 8 years old. There were things that happened that had us develop our beliefs. One being that we have to please others. We have to do things for others. Other people are more important than I am. So we give and we give and we give to the point where we have nothing left to give ourselves. So that's very important. And thank you for mentioning that. And we're going to talk more about that next week. And being in nature, I cannot stress how important it is to be out in nature. Nature has a vibration and a frequency that is so high that even just, and I know this is going to sound funny, but being near a tree, they call them tree huggers, or even meditating near a tree, I know it's a little cold in Canada right now, but when the weather warms up, even if you could take your shoes off, take your socks off, walk on the bare ground, it's called earthing. Sounds super granola. And if I heard myself say this 6 years ago, I'd be like, dude, are you kidding me? But walking barefoot in nature, grounding down into earth, we are energy. Everything's energy. There's Mother Earth is energy. You know, when we can connect with Mother Earth, when we can just ground in, be near trees, be near the lake, the ocean, the mountains, we are raising our vibrational frequency just by being in nature. So when you're feeling down, when you're having a day where you're feeling a little stuck, leave your phone at home, take your dog or go by yourself, walk around in nature. Take a look at the harmony in nature, the perfect unison of everything. Nature is the greatest teacher, and it's so simple and it's free. You know, that's one of the things that really made a big shift for me when I went through this, you know, transformation. I was changing things up. I changed where I traveled. I wasn't going to Miami, Ibiza, LA anymore. I was going to Vancouver, British Columbia, going out to the mountains. I was out here to Costa Rica. I was spending more time in nature, and without even knowing it, it was having this profound effect on me, this impact on me. So yes, spend time in nature when you need to raise your vibration. So thank you, Sabrina, for sharing that. Lots of great knowledge from that. So thank you. And as Parmita said, yes, nature is the most calming, and more so than meditation. And Sarah says trees absorb our negative energy. Absolutely. And if you can combine that and do a little meditation outside, sitting near a river, near the ocean, sitting next to a tree, there is an energetic vibration. Everything has an auric field, including trees and mountains and everything. So anyways, a little side note there. Okay, so all right, so for some of you, maybe it's starting a new diet, maybe it's ending a relationship, maybe it's buying a new book, or maybe having that hard conversation with someone that you love. You know, I promise you that if you complete every single thing that you write down on this sheet this week, you are going to see a significant change in your mental, emotional, physical, and energetic state. And I know this because this is how I live. You know, I honor my values every single day. I do fall off. We all fall off from time to time as humans. It's going to happen. And when we do, how we're reflecting on our values every day is what helps put us in alignment. As I said earlier, you know, our values are our North Star, our east, west, north, and south. And when we're asking, how can we honor our values? How can we, you know, embody them and really fully honor them on a day-to-day basis? It helps us course correct and stay on track. Now, our values are also essential for us to find our purpose and tap into why we're really here. And, you know, I call myself a life purpose coach because it's in going through this transformation and getting reconnected to my values that are what my true purpose is. Like, yes, I've been involved in entertainment and nightlife for 25 years. And it wasn't until I realized, wow, my story has an impact. And what I've been through helps other people along their journey. When I realized that honoring my values and being the highest version of myself actually makes a difference for other people, I then realized, well, this is my purpose. This is why I was a nightclub promoter for so many years, because I can get 90 people to register for a webinar. Oh yeah, it makes sense now, you know? So I saw that it really was values that helped me understand what direction to move. And in moving that direction, I discovered my true purpose. So that's why it really, really, really starts with knowing your values. Okay, and side note, I'll actually be leading a webinar on purpose and finding your purpose. A friend of mine is running a health and wellness challenge as well. And March the 7th, I'll be leading a conversation on how to find your purpose. And I'll be sharing a 4-step process that helped me discover my purpose that I think will be for any of you that are wondering what's next, what job or what direction to go in life that's going to help you really make a difference for people in your life, people on the planet. So I'll send out an email to all of you about that. And, you know, Tony Robbins has a quote I love, and it says, the real joy in life comes from finding your true purpose and aligning it with what you do every single day. And I'm super happy to say that that is my life. I get to do this every day. And while some of you have said, you know, thank you for being here on a Sunday, like, it's my pleasure to be here on a Sunday. You know, it's like, honestly, I live and breathe this work. It's truly why I feel that I'm here. I really, really love what I do. And, you know, I thank you all for your time, you know, for joining me on a Sunday, and for showing up, you know, and for doing the work. You know, I really, really value all of you being here, and just want to say thank you. So that pretty much concludes the informational webinar portion of this talk. And I'd like to open it up to some questions now. It is 12:20, 1:20 for you, 12:20 for me. And, you know, I'm happy to stay on longer. So for any of you that have any questions, now would be a great time to ask any. And as I mentioned, you will be getting up a follow-up email that will have the link to next week's webinar as well. A couple of things I mentioned, the 10-week essential that I am running March 21st. I'll include the link in that as well. So if any of you want to learn more about my coaching and the courses that I offer, that'll be in the email. And as well, if you enjoyed this webinar and you think you have some friends that might want to join the next one, please feel free to share the link with them. You know, love to meet more people next week who might want to join and learn about limiting beliefs and shifting mindset. All right, so I'm going to stop talking now. I'm going to open up to any of you who would like to ask any questions. And if you got to drop off now too, I totally understand. It is Sunday and it's Valentine's Day, so no offense taken if you got to bounce.
I just want to say thank you. I follow you on Instagram. I find you very inspiring.
Thank you.
This exercise helped me gain some clarity. I see where the work is that I need to do. I think some things that I am in alignment, but there's definitely some stuff that I need to focus a little bit more on. And the structure that you laid it out allows me to go off and do this on my own now. So thank you.
My pleasure. Awesome. Happy to hear that.
Yeah, I will hopefully see you next week. So bye, everyone.
Cool.
Thank you
Thanks,
again.
Marissa. Bye.
Take care.
I actually have a question. So I'm wondering, basically, you're going to have to sort of relook at this, right? Because I'm thinking that like my values 5 years ago were not these for sure. So how often do you have to kind of check and see if
Yeah, so that's a great point. Our values do change as we evolve and as we shift, and as life changes as well. Like with all the situations that are happening right now, I'm sure many of us are valuing health more so than before as a result of COVID and hearing about people getting sick, right? So, you know, I would say that, you know, anytime you go through a major shift in life, anytime you feel that there's some growth, you know, we all grow and evolve at different times in life. So I'm not going to say it's every 5 years or every 2 years. It's really whenever you feel like maybe you're feeling resistance, you're feeling disconnected from your flow. You know, if you feel that you're feeling stuck and uninspired, that's a good indication that, hey, maybe I'm not honoring my values. Maybe I'm a little out of alignment with some things. Let me take a look at that right now. I would say that when you're feeling resistance and feeling that things aren't flowing, that's a good indicator that it's time to revisit your values.
Awesome. Yeah, it's about self-awareness, I guess. If you lack
Absolutely.
that, then there's no way you're going to see the disconnect. Okay, thank you.
For sure. You're welcome. You're welcome, Aringo. You're welcome, Sabrina. Thank you for your message. Great to hear from you again. Parmita, you're welcome. Matt, thanks for joining us from Turks and Caicos. I'm curious to know where are people joining from? I should ask that in the beginning. If you want to put in the chat box below, I'd love to know where some of you are from. Amsterdam, cool. Toronto, cold but sunny Toronto. Kelowna, I hear it's beautiful in Kelowna. I've been once. Malibu, Samya, yeah, where is she? She's out by the pool, my little bear. England, nice, Jess, thank you. Jonathan, you're in Spain. I thought you were in the Caribbean for some reason. Caledon, Edmonton. Nice, nice. It's so wonderful to have people from all over join. Really, really makes me very happy. All right, everybody. Well, we got 5 minutes left to the webinar. So if anybody's got any questions, you can put them in the chat box. Or if you have any comments, any discoveries, anything that you want to share. You're welcome, Angeline. You're welcome, JD. Thank you for joining. Happy to hear that the webinar gave you some clarity. Carmita will be going into more depth about different dimensions in the next webinar, 3D, 4D, 5D. Yeah, I can definitely touch on that next week for sure with shifting minds. Actually, no, that's going to be more in the third week, which is flow. Because really tapping into your flow state is really what it means to be in 5D consciousness. When you live from limiting beliefs, when you live in fear, when you live in those low vibrational emotional states, that's when you're more caught in the 3-dimensional level of consciousness. So if you want to learn more about that, I'll be sharing in 2 weeks on that webinar. And as well, I've got a couple of vlogs about different dimensions of consciousness as well that I'll be happy to share about, because I love talking about multi-dimensional states of consciousness. Yes, Sashi, there are 3 more webinars, actually 2 more here that I'm hosting. Next week will be on limiting beliefs and shifting mindset. And then there will be one on limiting flow and tapping into those higher vibrational emotions. And then I'll be leading one on purpose on my friend's program that she's running March 7th. And I'm gonna be sending out a follow-up email to everybody with this information. Yeah. Okay, awesome, Sarah. Yeah, I'm actually thinking about hosting a Clubhouse conversation. I haven't used Clubhouse yet, and a lot of people are telling me I got to get on Clubhouse. And some friends of mine said they have really amazing engagements where, I mean, it sounds kind of weird, like, okay, I'm just gonna have a conversation with random people, or maybe I have like a co-host and we're just talking and chatting, and then a bunch of you get to listen in on our conversation. I'm not quite sure how it works yet. Maybe Sarah, you can send me some tips on how to navigate Clubhouse, but I'm hearing really great things from people. So yeah, I'll include that in the link as well, and that any of you can join that also. And one thing, and thank you, Laverne, for sharing that about I hosted a talk with my friend Andrew the other day from Tomorrow Today, and we shared information on connecting with community, connecting with like-minded people. Because obviously during these times, I know many of you have to quarantine, isolate, social distance, and all that stuff. And I'll be honest, like, even though I'm here in Costa Rica, and there was like, I think 37 or 38 people on this Zoom, there really is like a connection. Like, I do feel that there is an energetic connection, even though it is virtual, so I think that even though we can't connect with people in person as much as we'd like to during this time, whether it be Zoom, Clubhouse, whether it be some of these different platforms like Tomorrow Today, they've got their Mighty Networks platform, just being able to connect with like-minded people and learn and hear about each other's stories and know we're not alone. We're all going through the same shit in one form or the other. We're all dealing with the same life challenges in our own way. So to be able to connect and just speak to one another and listen, even if it is just a conversation you're listening in on, it does allow for human connection. Yeah, and I think it's really important during these times, and that's why we hosted that conversation. So there are communities you can join to be a part of. There are a lot of coaches that are sharing great information that you can join and be inspired and learn from. So you just got to do your research and put yourself out there, and hopefully the next time you join one of these webinars, you have your camera on, because as much as I love it, looking at all of your smiley thumbnail faces, being able to make eye contact and see one another, it just adds such a different element. So that's, before we start, I'm going to request everybody turn your cameras on, because that way, I feel there's more engagement, and it's not fair. You all get to look at me, but then I'm just looking at this smiley static thumbnail. So we'll switch that up for next week. Hey, Christina, how are you? Ringo, thank you. Nice to see you both. And that's a wrap. It's 12:30, well, 1:30 for you, or later for some of you in Europe and whatnot. I'm gonna go join Sammy in the pool right now. It's a beautiful sunny afternoon here. So I'm gonna go for a little swim and then hit the beach and turn my phone off for the rest of the day and honor my self-care. That's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna honor that value of nature and self-care and sunshine. So thank you all for joining. This was super fun. I really am happy you were all here. Hey, Eleni, nice to see you all the way from Vancouver. Thank you all for joining. If you have any comments, feedback, please reply to the email. If there's something you would like me to address specifically next week in Limiting Beliefs and Shifting Mindset, let me know. I love your feedback because it helps me to develop the exercises that best serve all of you. So look out for that email, reply back if you have any input, feedback, or need more info. And thank you. Happy Valentine's Day. I love you all. Thank you for joining. All right. See you, cuz. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
See you. Bye, guys. See ya. Thanks.